Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by CJ Vogel and Gerry Hamilton. We've got some breaking news for you. Let's start with some news that is going to be pleasant to hear for the Longhorn fans. Jonah Williams, the five-star defensive back out of Galveston Ball High School, is back on the practice field, we are told, and could be a possible return for this weekend, or at least his, quote, return is, quote-unquote, imminent. That is big-time news for a five-star out of Galveston Ball. Gerry, what do you know about Jonah Williams and what he brings to the Longhorn football team?
Yeah, so I'm going to start more on special teams with Jonah because he's missed a lot of practice time, and he wasn't around for spring playing baseball. So I look more at Jonah from a special team standpoint and his return to the field. Because if you look at CJ, Bobby, if you look at what Texas has been doing in kickoff return, having one of the running backs, either Trey Wise or Cedric Baxter back there, they obviously want a bigger frame guy as one of the return men. Well, who fits perfectly in that? Jonah Williams fits perfectly in that. I think Jonah could also factor in punt return. I think any part of the return game, I think he could factor in. If he's not on punt return, I could see him being on a punt block unit because he's such a great athlete with power, explosivity, long arms, and the vertical ability as well. I think I look to see him, if he plays, on special teams first and work his way in at safety because he just missed too much practice time to really push anybody ahead of him out of the gate.
CJ, your thoughts on that topic, in your opinion, what he could do right away?
Yeah, I think it's, again, to Gerry's point, special teams, and then how quickly can you earn the trust of this Texas staff? That's the key for these young guys. And I think there's an opportunity there to not just crack the rotation, but become a mainstay in that Texas secondary. And I look at it, looking at the snaps from Ohio State, you really only had two guys on the field at safety. It was Michael Taft, Jelani McDonald played every single snap. You only had 12 snaps for Derek Williams in his return. So is he fully ready to go? We believe so. But that still lends you a lot of opportunity for snaps, a lot of play time available early on in this season, especially over the next 3 weeks when Texas is playing teams in which they should be rotating in a lot of guys seeing their first ever snaps on the field for the Longhorns.
Gerry, you were at one of these games where Steve Sarkisian was there,
yeah.
And Jonah actually caught an interception and kind of pointed back at him. Is this a guy, if he is able to get on the field, that might somehow be able to break into the lineup even beyond the kicking game? I know we're talking about immediate maybe help in the return game, et cetera, but is this a guy that could actually break a lineup that already has a Derek Williams, already has a Jelani McDonald, as well as a Michael Taft at safety?
Yes, and the reason why is I think he's got really good ball skills and playmaking on the ball at the position. Now, there's a learning curve that comes with it, but I just think he's a guy that if he's around the ball, he's definitely making plays on the ball because that is his knack. Like, if you talk to people, and I agree with these people, there's people that trained him in the Galveston, Texas City, Galveston area, that they thought he could have been just as good at wide receiver as safety. They thought he had elite traits with ball skills. And it makes sense. Look at that play right there. He's a center fielder in baseball, right? Those guys know how to play a ball in the air. And that's why I like him on special teams. But, yeah, and here's the other reason too, guys. He's now, per a family member, when I spoke at the Texas X's Galveston last week, he's 217 pounds. He's no longer a 203-pound guy. He's 6'3" and a change and 217. So he brings even more size and more physicality to this team. And here's the other piece to it, CJ, and I think you maybe mentioned this first. When he got back out in this summer for workouts, when they were doing testing numbers for speed, he was one of the 5 fastest players on the team.
Yeah. Oh. And doing that at 217, that gives me more confidence in his ability to run the alley where you need that physicality coming from center field, or even if they spin him down at times, because remember, linebacker was a part of his recruitment conversation for a little while. And obviously safety won out, but you got to play with physicality towards the line of scrimmage. And we talk about it as well about Jelani McDonald being one of the hardest hitting guys on the entire team. If you're able to have even just a little bit of that this early in your career, well, that's just another reason to stay on the field if you're Jonah Williams.
Yeah, big news here overall is that that he is now practicing with the team. It's been a long time where he was just sitting on the sideline, kind of nursing a hamstring injury. He's been going at it a couple of days now. Could be available as soon as this weekend. We're not saying that he's going to play this weekend, but we do believe that his return to the team is imminent, which is good. On the flip side of that, we have some negative news in that regard. Emmett Mosley, CJ, Sark talked about him on Wednesday a little bit during the SEC conference call and was once again what I would best be described as non-committal on the transfer from Stanford.
I think that's the best way to put it. Look, he said if he does play this weekend, he will be limited. Now, that's a step in the right direction from what we heard from Sarkisian going into Ohio State, where it really wasn't any sort of sign to indicate that even playing was a possibility. And I don't know if that's coach speak for Sarkisian. He keeps injuries pretty close to the vest here, especially for some key guys when he doesn't have to, unveil anything. And not that it's going to matter a whole lot against San Jose State, but point being, Sark's been known to be very secretive about his injuries. It is a positive, however, that the opportunity to play is there for Emmett Mosley, and I think Texas needs him desperately to eventually see the field over the next month.
Hey, Jerry, you talk about that in Texas's need, I think, for the Longhorns to have another receiver in this. We believe that he'll be back, and we've reported that we believe Mosley will be back before the start of conference play, and it's a soft tissue issue, but nothing more than that. How badly does Texas need Emmett Mosley, in your opinion?
Oh, I think very badly. Look, I think he blends really well from a skill set standpoint with DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo and then Parker Livingstone. I think he's the most powerful receiver Texas has at 6'2", 210. He may be the best, as good a blocker as they have. I just think his mix of talent, he's a good 50-50 ball winner too. And he's a good tackle breaker with strength more than in the box quickness, so to speak. So I think he brings something none of the other guys have, and I think that's what they need. And that's not saying he's better than all the other guys. They just need everybody to bring what they do well. And I think he can bring something to the other guys that's not their strengths necessarily or what they'd be asked to do. So I think Emmett Mosley is a huge piece to this team. I mean, he started 9 games as a true freshman in Power 4 football in the ACC for Stanford and had 45 receptions for over 500 yards. He had some big games and some key situations in ACC play late in the season. So I think he's a future NFL player, and you can never have enough of those. But I also think that there's an element of, is he a 6'2", 210 version of Jordan Whittington in a weird way? He won't play the same position, but can he bring some of those similar things to your team? And if he can, then that's a difference maker.
I think it was clear that after watching them play Ohio State, Texas is going to need another wide receiver that's got some size to them that maybe can force some one-on-one wins against elite competition. All right, Jerry, this episode brought to you by Duck Camp. Would you do me a favor and talk to people about Duck Camp before we move on to the next roster issue at hand?
Duck Camp. Yes, I can. Makes gear for the folks who live for being out there, whether that's in a duck blind at sunrise or on the 40 acres for a Saturday kickoff. See everybody Saturday. Born right here in Austin, Texas, Duck Camp builds the best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel that works just as well for a full day in the field as it does a long day of tailgating. From sun protection shirts that will keep you cool during those early season scorchers to their iconic game series hats that feel like instant classics. Great hats with Duck Camp. Duck Camp gear is ready for football season, hunting season, and every season in between. Get out there, stay out there, and hook them. Shop at Duck Camp, duckcamp.com.
I love those lightweight protection shirts. They feel really good from the sun. Hey, Jerry and CJ, the next thing that we need to talk about is Wardell Mack. He allegedly or was booked in Travis County Jail for driving while intoxicated early Wednesday morning. CJ, what do you know is the latest there?
Yeah, he was booked at 1:07 a.m. Wednesday morning for DWI. There were originally 2 charges. The first was possession of a controlled substance. That was then dismissed by the prosecutor. What he was charged with and released on bail with was driving while intoxicated. Obviously unfortunate. This is obviously not the time in which, for one, Wardell, he wants to see this ever happen, but 2, for the team coming off the loss against Ohio State. But more than that, for Wardell, who saw his snaps at nickel taken by a true freshman. This upcoming month was a great opportunity for him to get back into good graces with the staff and earn some of those snaps. Unfortunately, and look, we won't know the punishment fully. Sarkisian did release a statement saying this will be an internal punishment. They'll deal with everything on the internal side, but this was a big opportunity for Wardell, who I don't believe will be seeing that opportunity as quickly as he anticipated.
Yeah, he had a chance to get back on the field this week. And Jerry, maybe it's a little bit like the Nick Brooks situation, who got into a little bit of trouble there after the spring camp for Texas, and then did not see any action last week in the first game back against Ohio State. Are there some similarities there?
No, not for me. This one's more so because here's the problem for this one. This is an in-season, midweek. You're out at 1 a.m. You're not taking care of your body in season. You're not taking care of probably your team in a way that you're part of. This is a little rougher one because this is kind of a negligence of team. And I think this is something that will be interesting to see how Sark deals with it, because again, this is kind of like, not that kids don't do their thing, but at 1 a.m., 2 days after you lose to Ohio State on a game week, there's a negligence of teammate here.
Yeah. All right. Just to wrap this up here real quick, Jonah Williams, the star defensive back from Galveston Ball that played on the Texas baseball team and got some people excited about his baseball abilities, expected to be available to Texas now at some point here in the near future on the football field as well. He is now officially back and practicing. He had been at practice for quite a while, but not officially practicing, kind of nursing a hamstring injury for quite a while. Now it looks like he's going to be back, and his return, I don't know if the right word is imminent, but that's kind of what we're hearing on the from our side of the tracks as well. So we'll see exactly what that ends up being. But Jonah Williams, this could be a guy, as we look for playmakers.
Oh yeah,
that we want to know whether or not they're going to make plays and score touchdowns. It's a guy that might be able to do it at punt returner and kick returner. We'll see if Texas even decides to try him there, given that the injury that he's coming off of. But look, these next 3 games, to Jerry's point and CJ's point earlier, these are the games you want to see those kind of guys playing. Before we wrap up, any other things that you guys want to add to this episode of On Texas Football, Jerry or CJ?
Pump block. Throw me Jonah Williams on pump block. I want to see Texas get after it. He's a prime example with that speed, that size, and quickness off the line. Show me some Jonah Williams on pump block. Oh,
interesting. That's a good idea, CJ. Because they said they were going to be more. Jeff Banks, the defense special teams coach, said they were going to be more aggressive. Yep. You need athletes like Jonah Williams to make that aggression possible and successful. All right, we're going to wrap this up here. Thank you again to our sponsor, Duck Camp. It's made for the people that are out there, for whether it's hunting, fishing, or football season. Duckcamp.com. Check it out. For Gerry Hamilton, as well as CJ Vogel and our producer, Matt Hutchinson, this has been a special episode of On Texas Football. Hook 'em.